Good afternoon, everybody. This is the advertised time and place for the Thursday, July 17th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Hope everybody's well. We have no public hearings today, so we're going to get right into the discussion items. Heather, can you help us out with item number 1, Wisbauer Residence Chapter 219 amendment?
Sure. So if the board recalls, back in November of 2024, you approved Chapter 219 Coastal Erosion Hazard Permit for 32 Beach Hill Drive in Calverton, more particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Note Number 40.1-17.1. And during the discussion and our consulting engineer's review, one of the requirements was the submittal of a structural analysis for the existing foundation. That was finally done and submitted to the planning department. I referred it over to Vinny with the Rayner Group just to give the plans a once over and look at the structural analysis. He came back with a memo saying that at this time, no objection is taken to the proposed scope of the project, and more specifically, they have to do helical piles in order to reinforce.
Can you describe that? I wasn't quite sure what that was either.
Yeah, so on the plans, and I apologize, I have a larger set here. Sorry. So essentially what they do is it screws into the ground. It's not pile driven, so they're not using machinery to do it.
Justin, can you bring that up for us, please? Thank you. There we go.
Okay. So they're still maintaining the existing line of the foundation, so they're remaining within the footprint, in kind for the reconstruction of the cottage. The difference in this case is, and you should have received the project narrative, the structural analysis that Rob Stromsky submitted. They are going to, so they're hand digging in order to get the helical piles started. So they're not using any machinery, and then essentially it screws into the ground, which results in the least amount of ground disturbance, as opposed to ripping the whole foundation out and putting in a new concrete foundation or doing pile driving, particularly because it's a sensitive area.
Yeah.
So they felt that this was the least intrusive way to reinforce the foundation. And again, we kind of knew that the CMU foundation wasn't going to be adequate. So that's why we required the structural analysis. And upon review by Vinny, he found that what they're proposing is adequate and, isn't changing any other scope or part of the project. So all conditions that we required of them, including their construction restrictions, they can only do construction in the park when it's closed. So from October to March, I believe, that was a condition of approval. That stands. So nothing else about the project scope is changing other than the foundation details. So at this point, just to memorialize it, I wanted to bring it back to the board and have a resolution to reflect that. That way everyone is on the up and up, and the building department will have the most up-to-date plans.
Okay.
The only question I had, Heather, on the cesspools, are they new cesspools? Or?
No, they're existing, and this was discussed at the meeting back in November. I think they're located sort of in between the house and the road. They are being proposed to remain. They're not increasing the bedroom count in the cottage. Again, they're just sort of reconfiguring and rebuilding, so they wouldn't need health department approval anyway. They are permitted to maintain that sanitary system.
Okay, everybody's good? Yes. All right, stay there, Heather. We have item number 2, 2 Bluffs Drive Minor Subdivision.
Okay. So for the board, this is a new application. It was submitted a couple of years ago. We needed the map to get to a point where it was adequate enough to present to the board in conjunction with town law. So this is for 2 Bluffs Drive Minor Subdivision, Suffolk County Tax Note Number 600-39-5-5.19. They're proposing to subdivide the existing 3.532 acre vacant lot into 3 separate buildable lots. The lot's located within the Residence A40 zoning use district. And the proposed sizes of the lots, which are a little over an acre each. More specifically, Lot 1 is proposed at 1.2 acres, Lot 2 is 1.04 acres, Lot 3 is 1.29 acres, all comply with the minimum size requirements in the zoning use district, so they do not need any variances. It's a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, and just a little history on the property. At one point, in sort of going through the subdivision records, because there is a major subdivision directly to the north of this parcel, it is not on the filed map. I know it has a tax map number that's actually very similar to the lots within that subdivision to the north, but it was not filed with it. It's actually an out parcel, so it can be subdivided. At one point, the prior owners were looking to build a house on it. They received health department approval, so it's recognized by the health department. The new owners are seeking to subdivide it again into 3 separate lots. They would all take access off of the existing cul-de-sac.
You say
which-
there's a lot on this now? There's a house on this now?
No, so the prior owners were looking to build a single house on this lot and then I
Oh,
guess abandoned those plans. But the fact of the matter is the health department gave approval for a sanitary system, so they do recognize the lot. So it's not part of the major subdivision to the north, although it's served,
Right.
it will be served by the road and the cul-de-sac. So 2 of the lots will take access from a common driveway off of the cul-de-sac. They also show an access easement going across Lot 3 to the property to the west, which is owned by Vander Wettering, I believe. And one thing that our consulting engineer, when I originally referred this to him, asked was, what's the purpose and the status of the proposed right-of-way? They're claiming that it's for access to that lot, but they already have access off of a flag on Sound Avenue. So, that's sort of a question that I think remains outstanding. Other than that, some of the other notes and comments that Vinnie had have been addressed as far as like lot width for each of the lots. They all conform with the minimum lot width. I did, upon Vinnie's recommendation, refer it over to Drew because he is our stormwater management officer. And he actually just came back with comments the other day. They're not in my staff report, but I can provide a copy to each of you and I'll just read them. He needs site details added to the plan, including leaching pool details and paving sections. I'm thinking specifically for that common driveway. That's something that we typically see. For example, in the 105 Pier Avenue minor subdivision, they had a typical pavement section and drainage for the common driveway on their map. And he also said, because the 3 parcels are being broken out from a larger plan, which totals over an acre in land disturbance, an erosion and sediment control plan must be completed and submitted to this office. So they won't need to do a full SWIP, but Drew wants to see an erosion and sediment control plan just because of the, the size and their proposed area of disturbance. I did refer it over to the health department. They came back with comments. Those are in my staff report. I also forwarded it to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. They found it to be a matter for local determination. I also had referred it over to Highway. Obviously, any changes, it's a town road, so any changes within that cul-de-sac on Bluffs Drive are going to require review and approval, probably road opening permits from the Highway Department. The Water District came back with comments specifically about the hydrant that's in the cul-de-sac. I don't know if you saw the picture. It's a little overgrown there, but it seems like based on where they want to put the driveway, they may have to move the fire hydrant assembly. And that'll be something that they'll have to hash out between both the Water District and the Fire Marshal. And I had referred this back to the fire marshals in 2023. Obviously, with the most recent set of plans, I re-referred it, seeing as, Andrew Smith is now the chief fire marshal, and he did come back with comments as well. He said an additional hydrant may be required just due to the length of the driveway and where the proposed building lots are, the building envelopes. So that's something that the design professional is going to have to demonstrate whether or not they'll need one based on the distance requirements for an R3 occupancy. I think it's 600 feet is the maximum distance from a hydrant.
Do you know what those tanks were all about?
That I'm not sure, and that's something that I brought up to the design professional. I didn't get all the way back there when I did my site inspection. It was very overgrown. And naturally, I picked a day where it was sunny and then ended up downpouring. So I didn't get to go as far into the property as I wanted. But the aerial images are pretty clear. Like, they've been there for quite some time. I don't know what's been stored in them, if there's anything stored in them.
They're not connected to anything, or?
Not that I can tell from the aerials, but that's something that I want them to address,
Oh, yeah.
because if there was some sort of like oil or some sort of like pesticide, we want to see maybe some soil sampling just to make sure. Or if they're empty, great, then just remove them from the site. But they've been there for quite some time.
The pond is not on anybody's wetland map?
No, so it's funny, they showed it on their map. And I was curious because it doesn't come up on our GIS as a Town of Riverhead wetland or New York State DEC wetland. And I went back through some of the historical aerials on Suffolk GIS. When they built that house on the neighboring lot, they created the pond. So they did like a man-made, I don't know if it's a koi pond or, what the purpose is. But it's not considered a freshwater wetland by the town or the New York State DEC. I just wanted to make a note of it because they did show it on the map, but it's not actually a contributing surface water. So, other than that, obviously the board needs time to look at the map, but at this point in time, the map's ready to go to a public hearing, which is required, so we can take questions.
Go over what the proposed right-of-way is that for?
Yeah, that's one of the questions that Vinnie had, that, again, I said is still outstanding. They show it on the map, they say it's based on a survey, but they don't really specify as to what it's for. They said that it was for access to the neighboring lot, but the neighboring lot has access via a flag driveway that goes all the way down to Sound. So that's something that the applicant's representatives can address at the public hearing. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here today. They are aware that the public hearing date will be for August 21st. They will be here. So any questions you have or the public will have can be addressed at that point.
Just to go one step further with those tanks,
Yeah.
we should try to find out where they came from on the property, so that I think we should do, those are big tanks,
Yeah.
if there's any leakage, I think to protect ourselves, we should find out what is in there, they look like oil to me,
Yeah.
but those are big
I suspect
oil.
they might be propane tanks?
No.
No?
No, they're not
Absolutely not.
propane.
No, okay.
But that's a lingering question as well that's sort of
Yeah.
been posed. And, the applicant's representative did get a copy of my staff report, so I'm hoping
Okay.
that they'll come back prepared with some information in anticipation of
Yeah,
the
but, well, they've got a month.
Yeah, we need,
Yeah.
we need to determine where they pulled them out of, because they didn't pull them right out of there. Look at the size of the trailer
Yeah.
compared to the tanks, the tanks are huge.
Yeah, I think that this lot was probably at one time part of the lot to the south. It went from Sound Avenue all the way up to the Long Island Sound. This was one big lot, and then the major subdivision to the north got filed, and again, this was carved out as an out parcel. So maybe it was part of the farm lot to the south. It's because I think that's all, not Vander Wettering, but the nursery that's there.
When did you make your site inspection?
2023. Yeah,
Okay.
so I could definitely go back up there, but this application was made quite some time ago. Unfortunately, there were issues with the map where I didn't feel it was appropriate to bring it to the planning board.
Because I don't remember, I kind of remember this in a way, kind of back there somewhere. I think those tanks are something we should find out about.
Yeah, I'll definitely relay that to the applicant, and we'll have some answers for the board at the public hearing.
Just to get back to the road again, will that road be a town road or
It
that's going to be a
is,
private?
so Bluffs Drive is already a town road, including the cul-de-sac. So the driveway will take access off of it, but for the lot access, it's a private driveway. So a common driveway easement will have to be filed, as is typical of any subdivision utilizing a common driveway.
Okay, so that'll be private, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And Heather, it says 20 by 84 feet, and that can also change, it may go longer or whatever. It says right on the map here, 20 by 80, the common drive, which goes into each property. But like you said, each driveway will have
Yeah.
their own drainage, and then that will have its own drainage also.
Yes, so they're showing this as the common driveway.
Right.
And I'll note that there are 15-foot flags, so that each lot has access pursuant to Town Law 280A.
Okay.
That's one of the things that, the map needs to be considered complete to come to the planning board, because you can't grant access to something that's landlocked. So they each have the appropriate frontage, and then they'll be utilizing this improved section, which again, Drew is asking for the paving details and the drainage details. And then each lot, you know, as building code requires you to maintain your stormwater on site, so residential lots, buildings, they'll have gutters, dry wells, whatever they need pursuant to New York State Building Code to maintain their water on site. But the driveway specifically, since it's on the subdivision map, we want the details of that.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Heather. Let's go to item number 3, Polish Hall parking lot improvements with Heather.
And I don't think I'm alone on this one, so.
Oh, okay.
Tom Nigel's not here yet from Polish Hall.
Do we want,
He's second call, he should be here.
okay, can we skip and come back to it?
Yeah, okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
We're gonna go to 4, Peconic Farms LLC with Greg Bergman. How you doing? Could you just get your name for the record?
Martin Finnegan, 13250 Main Road, Mattuck, for the applicant Peconic Farms.
Thank you.
So this is revisiting a subdivision application out on Peconic Bay Boulevard in Jamesport. The planning board back in November of 2023 granted a conditional approval for a preliminary plat for a 6-lot major subdivision of a vacant existing 9.57 acre parcel located on the south side of Peconic Bay Boulevard, located directly adjacent to the town of Riverhead boat ramp property. The map at that time required it was going to be a private road, but because it was a major subdivision, it was going to require infrastructure improvements, including the roadway design, the drainage design, as well as the creation of an HOA to maintain. There was about, I think it was like a 4.9 acre open space area on the back end. It was a clustered subdivision. I guess just the expense of going through all the drainage and infrastructure work and creating the HOA, the applicant has elected to reduce the density of the map, now proposing a 4-lot minor subdivision. All of the lots comply with the dimensional requirements of the RA40 zoning district. It's pretty straightforward. The property is located, a significant portion of the property is located within a flood zone. So any development for residential dwellings within that flood zone would need to comply with FEMA regulations. But beyond that, pretty straightforward. Each lot would have a private driveway off of Peconic Bay Boulevard. They would just take water service individually to each lot. They wouldn't have to do a lateral water main extension. So pretty straightforward. I do have a resolution on it to schedule a public hearing, even though it is a reduced density plat. We did have a public hearing on the more intense development. I spoke with Eric Howard. I felt it was appropriate just to keep the record clean. We would do a public hearing on it, and then we can move forward with an approval.
Yeah, I think it's a good business move.
In situations where we've got something like this, is it possible to have like a common driveway, like between 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4?
I mean, we could, but these lots are about 180, roughly 180 to 185 feet wide. So I mean, there would be more than enough room.
Oh, I know there's room, yeah.
Our standard guidance for separation on driveways is about 75 feet. So I mean,
The idea of convenience, I suppose. You don't have to have four individual driveways, just 2.
I mean, that's something you could say. From a planning aspect, I mean, now you have 2 owners of a driveway. Like we do, obviously Bluffs Drive has a common driveway where they need to sort of consolidate that access. On a case like this where you've got almost, probably 700 plus feet of frontage, I mean, we could or we could not. I don't think that it's necessarily required in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, that would not be the applicant's preference.
I'm sure.
So beyond that, have a resolution. It is a type 2 under SECRA. The one thing I would say is, being that this is a voluntary reduction, the lots probably should be precluded from further subdivision. We've seen this consistently where, like a minor on top of minor on top of
Yeah.
minor, and then then it's a case where you do end up with, flag lots and common driveways that are sort of less than desirable. So that would just be my one recommendation to the board as we move forward to, not that they're attempting to, but we don't want to see a future owner down the
Yeah.
road try to subvert the major subdivision
That's
process.
getting out of the way of doing a major.
Yeah.
Especially the first lot, Greg, which is, it's 3 acres.
Yeah, I mean, realistic, lots, I mean, so we did approve a 7 lot, they submitted a yield map as we reviewed the initial submission. So the as of right development yield on the property, I believe, was 7 lots. The six lot subdivision map was done to remove the requirement for the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, but as of right, 7, what's that?
9.
Was it 9?
Yeah.
Manny wanted 6.
Oh, all right. So, sorry, it's been a while, but, yeah, so it was a reduced density even from the as of right. But yeah, I mean, in a case like this where you do have, all of the lots could be then further subdivided, I would just make that recommendation.
That's fair.
But beyond that, pretty straightforward. We'll get the public hearing, we can get all the notices out, get the mailings done, we can have the,
Good, gentlemen?
Yes.
Yep.
Good luck.
When is the public hearing?
first meeting in August, I believe
August
it's
7th.
August 7th.
You said a lateral water main extension.
Well, no, on the other major subdivision, they would have had to bring one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So this would just be individual taps for each lot.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, let's go to number 5, Sandy Pond Trade Shops, Manager's Residence, and the Clubhouse. How you doing, Earl?
Everyone could just state their names for the record.
Kimberly Judd, 737 Roanoke Avenue, for the applicant.
Earl Trulin, the applicant.
Doug Adams, engineer for the applicant. 400 Austrian Avenue.
All right, so this is just a follow-up on the site plan application for Sandy Pond. It's the application to construct a clubhouse, 3 trade shop buildings, and a manager's residence. The plans have been revised previously. The clubhouse on the old plans did not show any basement access, but the floor plans and the architectural plans indicated basement access. So the plans have been revised to provide access to the basement for storage. They relocated the sanitary system to meet the required separation. Beyond that, I mean, that was the only real major change we were looking for. So I do have a preliminary approval resolution on. They do require, it will require the relocation of a drainage easement on the property that takes water from Roanoke Avenue and conveys it to one of the on-site ponds. That easement was formalized and recorded when they came in for the special permit for the mini golf course. The understanding was that when they came in for this, they were going to relocate that drainage easement. So preliminary approval on, pretty straightforward. There is no stormwater pollution prevention plan required for this project. The applicant did submit a SWIP waiver to the engineering department. And there is no need for a stormwater pollution prevention plan. So there's a couple of items that they need to address, submit some draft covenants, and then they'd be ready for a final.
Okay.
Ready to go.
The only question I have, Greg, Earl, on the proposed, the blend mix, and why are you doing that instead of the black ground?
We were just talking about that. I think they might want to do asphalt. We can do that. We would just,
Only snow
we would
removal.
increase the drainage design
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
We may do that,
Yeah.
or a portion thereof.
Yeah. I was just thinking originally that maybe you wanted to see more of the natural drainage, but we're not opposed to.
Probably not as functional for what it's going to be.
Yeah, for the blacktop, yeah.
I see on the print, though, that there's a private driveway that's gonna service the,
The manager's office.
right.
Manager's residence.
Is that, do you have the dimensions on that driveway, the width or anything on it? Like how, would it
It's
be
just-
wide
we
enough
could-
to
we could
handle
add
an
that. It's
emergency
gonna be a standard
vehicle,
driveway.
being it's so far off the road?
I'm sorry?
Would it be wide enough to handle an emergency vehicle, being it's so far off the road?
I think it's a residential driveway. I don't know that it needs to be. Yeah, it's just gonna be 10 feet or 12-foot driveway.
Yeah, I mean, it's
12 feet
probably
wide,
about
13
12 feet.
feet
Looks
free
like
and
12
clear.
feet.
12 feet?
We're not required to have like 20-foot clear and 14-foot high for a house like that.
Okay.
And these buildings are gonna be sprinkled, water for fire? Are they gonna be sprinkled or?
No,
We
they're
were
not
told by the
proposed.
architect
No.
that we
Oh,
can
they're not?
sprinkle them.
Yeah, we're advised by our professionals that it doesn't require sprinkling. It's one story, and we're putting in a hydrant across the street on the,
Yep, we're putting,
The
They're
west
actually doing it
side.
on the west, they're bringing a hydrant
we're
on the
bringing
west side of the
it
road.
right across the street, right to our property, a new hydrant as well.
But
Right.
isn't there one across the street? Why would you?
There is
There's
one,
two- there's two across
there's
the
two across the street.
I don't know why.
So it was a request from the fire marshal, the reason being if there was any type of fire event there, if they were to access the hydrant across the street, they would basically have to lay a hose across Roanoke Avenue,
Shut down
effectively
Roanoke.
shut it down. So they just wanted the hydrant on the west side of the road to not have to shut down Roanoke Avenue in the event of an emergency.
But wouldn't you have to do that in the case of any fire, if the hydrant's across the street? It just,
It's in case the water feature burns down.
Exactly.
I think that Mr. Stark, it may still pursue maybe not doing that hydrant, but
I mean, it is
for now.
right
if-
across the
if-
street.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
actually
there's
two, there's
two
two.
right across the street.
There's one in front of the proposed clubhouse across the street, and there's one right in front of where the trade shops are going across the street. And if there's a fire department, if a fire truck were to access the hydrant on our side of the street, they're shutting Roanoke down Avenue anyway.
Yeah.
So it's getting shut down if there's a fire, or the use
Just-
of any
yeah,
hydrant,
yeah.
so. But, you know, I think if push comes to shove, you know, the fire department, you know, the fire marshal would have, I think Brian would do it. I think he's just trying to look at costs and stuff. and
Yeah.
The realistic reality of the need for it. But it's on there for now.
Yeah,
Okay.
one on the east side.
On the,
One there.
on the plan, Doug, for the sanitary, is that correct, that it's all going to that,
Yeah, the existing system that's,
Existing system.
that was put in as part of the subdivision process for this, is, the size of it is conducive to handle the flow out of the trade shops. The flow is very low for the trade shops, there's just,
okay,
you know, some bathrooms in there for the owners, but the occupancy is super low, and we're expecting health department approval actually any day on it. And then there's a new IA system going in for the clubhouse.
yeah, for the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And where's the water supply? Where's the water supply line? I couldn't make it
Yeah,
out.
there's two. There's an existing one right at the driveway to the
Just don't
south
make
of the
a
driveway
end.
entrance. And there's gonna be another one right next to the south fence of the mini golf, straight into the clubhouse, I believe. I can show you on this map if you want. So, we've got one here coming into the clubhouse, that's proposed, and the existing one is right here, right by the driveway. RPZ installed already.
Yep.
Already.
I was looking at the way the water main goes around the trade shop, okay? And it's very close to the other water main.
The southern portion of the property, the southern boundary.
It should be on this one.
The trade show, and you've got a water service line going to the back. It's right, it's maybe 20 feet from the service for the water service for the residential. But I guess you can't
Okay,
combine
so
it.
I'm sorry, there is another water service specifically for the residents going on the south
Yeah,
side.
right.
It's just a mini tap.
Yeah, but you,
The existing water main goes around what would be and through the drainage for the trade shops. That's going to be removed.
well,
And we're
that's
gonna
going to be
come-
removed.
Yeah, we're going to be coming in front of the trade shops.
Right.
Look on the map there, right across the front. And
Yeah,
around.
and then it curves up, goes up for a 1-inch water service, and it
Yeah,
goes
so
right
it
around
comes
to the
up
back,
here, goes around, and I guess you're coming in behind
Right.
behind the trade
this
shop.
trade shop, so it'll
Right.
feed that building. But yeah, this.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is that these two water services are just 10 or 20 feet apart. Why can't you just hook them up and just forget about one of the water service? That water service for the proposed water,
No, this water service is across the parking lot from the clubhouse. Go back to the first shot. So, So we have, oh, you mean for the residents?
Yeah, the residents,
Right.
and it is like 10, 20 feet between them. So
Yeah,
why
I mean,
not just
we would-
connect?
We would be allowed to do that because this is all commercial considering it's all commercial, so we could do that.
Well, with the
I
one,
mean,
for the
he's
manager,
only gonna get one, he's
Yeah,
gonna
Brian,
get one
I
water
don't
bill,
know,
he's
I don't know
gonna
that Brian
get
will want a separate meter on it anyway because the whole purpose of the managed residence is to get a manager in there and take care of the place and give him free water, probably.
it's gonna be gratis.
What's that?
He could just take off that other,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and get rid of the whole service.
Sure. I don't see why we couldn't do that.
I'm fine with that. Save a little.
I think we might have done it that way originally because we thought maybe the managed residence would come in before the trade shops, and then we needed a sort of a residential
Yeah,
three-quarter.
but you're just gonna have one bill for the whole
Yeah,
facility.
he's planning on doing it all at the same time practically, right? At this point, so,
Yep.
yeah, we'll just do that.
Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, stick around, we got a vote later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we, go back to Polish Hill Park?
Yes, the applicant here.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go back to item number 3, Polish Hall parking lot improvements with Heather.
And if everybody could just state their names for the record.
Kimberly Judd, 737 Roanoke Avenue for the applicant.
Tom Nigel, 1131 Ostrander, Riverhead Polish Hall President.
Jim Matusky, 505 Lincoln Street, Opportunity Zone, applicant.
All right, so this is a site plan application for the Polish Hall located at 214 Marcy Avenue in Riverhead, more particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-124-2-50.2. So the scope of work on this application is limited to the southern parking lot. I mean, it's improved, but not striped, lacking drainage, could definitely use some help. And then they're going to propose some additional stalls proximate to Sweezy Avenue. They are not touching the northern parking lot. And there are no other changes on site with regard to the existing building. The existing accesses on Marcy Avenue will remain. They are proposing to consolidate and clean up a curb cut on Sweezy Avenue. I spoke with the highway superintendent the other day, and he said obviously they would be subject to a road opening permit. He would like to see a crosswalk put in on Sweezy, given the fact that the purpose of the improvements at Polish Hall, while if the Polish Hall could undertake the improvements themselves, this would certainly be doable. But the 505 Lincoln Street site plan, which this board, we discussed this last April. It's an intriguing site. It's directly diagonally across from the Polish Hall site on Lincoln Street. It's that triangular shaped piece and has existed in its configuration for years with really no parking available on site. When we discussed the 505 Lincoln Street site plan application last year, at that point in time, the applicant was able to provide an accessible stall, which is required on the site, but they have no room for the required parking. So they were originally proposing an off-site parking agreement at 817 Pulaski Street, either by traversing through the Polish Hall parking lot, which, without an agreement would be unlikely. And then when we scaled out exactly how far it would be if someone were to walk along Sweezy to Pulaski to Marcy to get to 817 Pulaski, I think it was like in excess of 800 feet. It would need zoning board approval, and this board was not supportive of that. So upon revisiting options, the owner of 505 Lincoln Street and the Polish Hall, over the course of a few months, over a year actually, came to an agreement where 505 Lincoln Street would be able to utilize just a portion of this parking for their own site, which would still require ZB approval because it is a little bit more than 200 feet as required by code. and the Polish hole is in a residential zone, even though it's clearly a commercial use, it's in a residential zone. So the zoning board will have to give permission to the 505 Lincoln Street parking agreement for that. But in plain terms of the Polish hole parking lot and their improvements alone, it's an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, and no environmental impacts are anticipated. So I would recommend that the board adopt a negative declaration and approve this administratively without the need for a public hearing. It's a benefit to the Polish hole, in addition to, obviously benefiting the applicant. But it'll bring much needed organization to the parking lot, where again, the parking lots existed, but without any sort of legitimate striped stalls.
No drainage either.
And no drainage, yeah, they're proposing drainage, so it'll be a much needed facelift for this southern parking lot.
Are all the stalls 10 by 20s?
Yes, yeah, so all the stalls are proposed at 10 by 20. They show a 24-foot wide drive aisle, and I did refer this over to the fire marshal. He actually just got back to me today and had no comments. So from a firefighting perspective, no comments from them. And then I referred it over to Drew. He did want some details on the plan, including leaching pool details, a pavement section, and a couple of other things. So that the resolution that I have on is obviously subject to any revisions from engineering, from the fire marshal, from the highway superintendent. So we will require some plan revisions to reflect Drew's comments. Obviously before they undertake any site work, they'll need that road opening permit from the highway department. Fire marshal didn't have any comments. So I guess my point is that this application on its own could proceed. They could get an approval, and then in the meantime, 505 Lincoln Street, I did provide them with a denial letter. They can appeal to the zoning board to utilize this section of parking for their site plan, understanding that that approval would be predicated on them continuing with their site plan. The Polish hole parking improvements really could stand on their own, even though they're inherently tied together because the applicant would be funding the improvements in the parking lot. So.
The one thing I'd like to see, Heather, is if people are going to be walking, coming home from work, parking their car there and walking to 505 to adequate lighting, for the evening hours or early morning hours, and people are walking from one building to that lot.
No lighting is proposed within the parking lot. I don't know if that's something that was spoken to in the agreement that was.
No.
Well, even street lighting along
Yeah, I mean,
the
street
along the
lighting-
route.
There is
Yeah,
street lighting.
There's
There's
street
plenty of
lighting,
street
and
lighting
we
there.
we have a town department that deals with that. So like if a bulb goes out, the street lighting department would take care of that. They would send someone out. But when we come to the 505 Lincoln Street site plan, my recommendation will be, and I think the highway superintendent agree with me, is to put a crosswalk here.
Yes.
If the ZBA approves the off-site parking, which again, that's sort of an unknown at this point, they have to make the application, but if they approve it, I think a crosswalk would be very beneficial there, improve the existing sidewalks, and then if the board recalls, as part of the 505 Lincoln Street site plan, they actually showed a crosswalk going across Lincoln Street from the south to the north. So that was already contemplated as part of that application. So I think, extending that to get pedestrians safely to and from the parking lot wouldn't be a big ask, in my opinion.
That's all I'm looking for.
Heather, a question on Marcy Avenue. There are actually two curb cuts now. Are you going to reduce it to one?
They're not proposing any changes to the curb cuts on Marcy. So the
Well-
northern parking lot is going to remain
no,
as is.
There was two.
Oh, there
here.
was
There were
two.
two.
There was two, so this shows one, yes.
Okay, because it
Okay.
still shows
It's like
in
one
and
bigger
out.
one now.
You're going to make one bigger one?
Okay, so you're just gonna remove this landscaped,
Right.
this little landscape
Right, there
island
was two
that's there?
little, tiny little islands there.
Okay,
Right.
all right, so,
That island is
There's nothing.
Right.
yeah, we have a lot of problems there. I see trucks pulling in and they can't, they're running over the bushes, so I
Right.
think probably a good idea.
And the curb cut on Sweezy, there's one there already, Heather, like we talked about?
so there are actually
There's
two.
two.
There's one that's closer to the south property line, and then
Yeah,
there's like a
there's-
dirt one up here.
Right.
There's a dirt one
Yeah,
there
they're gonna
through the
get rid
hedges.
of this, and then just have one single improved curb cut on Sweezy.
Okay.
So I'll make a more general statement. Any sort of work within the town right-of-ways will require review, approval, and appropriate permits through the highway department.
So
And
there will be no parking lot lighting whatsoever?
I mean, aside from the existing building lighting, which, I just want to make sure is dark sky compliant, I think I mentioned that.
We
in the
have
stamp
building
report.
lights, but
He has the specs.
You don't
he
have
has the
no
cut
objection to
sheets.
putting parking lot lights up, I mean, I don't know why it's not on the plan, I could certainly ask Doug to do something with that, because the parking lot should be lit, I mean, somebody's gonna park there at night, there's no reason why it's not lit, but I have,
Okay, these are for the existing lights?
yeah, this is for what will be on Polish Hall, if we don't find, the cut sheets that show the ones that are there now, are compliant, and we'll use these are pictures of them on the storage facility. These are also,
Same ones. Okay.
dark sky compliant, parking lot lights that, I was under the impression that we were putting them in, I don't know why they're not on the plan, so I have no objection to that at all.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as the existing light on the building is dark sky compliant, that can remain. If they choose to upgrade that, and/or add additional lighting for the parking lot, as long as it complies with the dark skies, ordinance, I'm fine with that. If I can just look at my,
And Heather, one other thing, when I walk the property, they have a kind of low wood wall about 5 feet away from the building on the south side. Are they going to replace that? Because that is kind of rotted.
Whereabout is that, Mr. Zelnicki?
It's about 5 feet away from the wall.
It's that little sump looking.
Yeah, yeah.
It's where this.
Chances
where the
are, when
exit-
we go to rip the parking
But
lot,
you're gonna
it's gonna
replace
come out
that.
with it, yeah.
Because it's a step down, I believe.
It's a step down, but obviously, we need grading to be away from the building too, but obviously, when they start working, they're gonna have to
Right.
redo that. So-
I saw some leaders that came down,
Yeah,
and
there's leaders
which got
that come
drained
up
into the
and over.
parking lot, those are gonna have to be, channeled into the drywall, so
Right.
that wall will have to be secured somehow, and those pipes are gonna have to come through that.
Right.
And into the parking drainage, for sure.
Okay.
We're not gonna, put all the dry wells in and then dump the gutter water into the parking lot, that would be crazy.
I see you've got the 3 drainage areas marked out. Are you now going to regrade everything so that it flows that way?
The
And then-
grades
and
there are
then-
actually
and then
pretty good.
repave?
The thing that they're missing is all the dry well, so the grading is actually adequate, and it's pitched properly.
Oh, yeah?
So we should be able to pull the asphalt, pull the RCA, put in all the drainage, and then just put it all back.
Okay. I mean, it looks like it would work, and what you're saying is it works now.
It works now, just dumping everything into the road.
This is no road, okay.
All good, guys?
So-
I think this is a great improvement. I wish
yeah, I
you
mean,
guys well.
it's a
I really do.
mutually beneficial, action. But again, I think that, by approving this administratively, if for whatever reason, the 505 Lincoln Street site plan doesn't come to fruition, if the Polish Hole is able to do it in the future, they already have the approval. Obviously, we want to see it work for both projects,
Right.
because I think it'll bring some life, back into that area. So in terms of my resolution, if we could amend to add a 5th condition. So under condition 6C, the plan revisions, if we can add 5, dark sky compliant lighting. So just to sort of generalize it, if they're going to add it, we just want to make sure it complies with code. Other than that, I mean, they're not proposing any landscaping. They're going to topsoil and seed the areas that they disturb. As a plant person, I recommend if they're able to, throw some native shrubs in there, that would be great. Not necessarily required, but I think it would definitely spruce this area up and sort of screen it from the railroad as well. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward application.
That's another reason why we really have to do the parking lot lighting too, because we are having some problems with people from the railroad, that.
Yeah.
And we need to kind of curtail that. We did it at the storage, and it's helping out a little bit. But Tommy, you all have problems there, right?
Always.
People sleeping in stairwells.
Yeah.
There's people sleeping everywhere.
So,
Really?
Lighting is good.
Lighting is good, it helps, it helps.
Oh my
But
God,
now,
every
you know,
day.
we had fencing and barbed wire, and we put plants, hedges to cover that, to take away the look of the barbed wire, which looks great. But now we're getting bottles thrown from the railroad tracks into the windows, and the Riverhead police won't do anything. It's only the MTA police that could investigate and pursue that, so. We're gonna try to keep
Good
that
luck.
parking lot safe. Maybe we can do something if Troy Ann helps us something, we can put some kind of fencing up and kind of eliminate that traffic coming that way.
So, yeah, overall, an improvement to the site, and again, good for both parties, and, you know, hopefully, 505 Lincoln Street is successful with the ZBA, and then they'll come back to you with their site plan.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, good, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a vote in a little while, folks. If you wanna stick around, you're welcome.
And Jim, you did a great job with the, more storage.
Thanks for coming by and looking at it, I appreciate that.
Really did good.
Item number 6, TJOC Real Estate Holdings. Greg?
Thanks, Al.
All right, so this is just a quick update on the TJOC Calverton development. It's a proposed major subdivision and site plan out in Calverton, across the street from in the vicinity of Tractor Supply next to J&R Steakhouse. Back on June 5th, the planning board adopted a resolution which deemed a draft environmental impact statement as inadequate for public review. I provided a detailed list of comments that needed to be addressed. The applicant turned it around pretty quickly. I mean, it wasn't a major list, but they did address all those items that were detailed in the requirements. So to that end, the revised DEIS meets the scope that we set forth back for the environmental review. They've addressed those items, so we have two resolutions on for this meeting. One accepts the DEIS and authorizes the planning department to distribute it to involved agencies and make it available for public review. We have a resolution on that will schedule a joint public hearing. That public hearing will encompass both the site plan, the subdivision, as well as the DEIS. Combined hearings are actually something that's encouraged under SECRA, rather than have 3 separate hearings for a
Do you run them concurrently?
So yeah,
Like, close one, open one, close one?
it would just
We
be.
close them all.
It would just be, you would open, it would be a combined hearing, so, and again, the purpose of it, obviously, you want to get comments on the draft environmental impact statement, but they're all comments on the overall development. So, I mean, it's somewhat difficult to separate the subdivision from the site plan, but it would just be one public hearing.
Okay. So if the citizens had valid points, we can still add them at that time?
Well, yeah, so the purpose of the draft environmental impact statement public hearing is, the document will be available for public review. Public can comment on the draft EIS. All of those comments would then be, we would record them
Is there a time limit
on the,
on comments coming back?
so yeah, we have, I can double check. There is a time frame. I mean, when you deal with SECRA, you are under
Yeah,
specific timeframes, which is why the resubmitted DEIS, we were under a time frame to, review it.
Yeah.
Let me just double check. I don't want to get my.
And Greg, the new DEIS has the building
So
check?
yes, yes. I mean, it addressed, that was one of the
Right.
comments that we identified as being deficient. So it does have the reoriented
Yeah.
building that kind of orients it in a north to south direction. So the draft EIS public comment period, minimum 30 days. I mean, again, so this, we will have we accept the document. The public hearing would be scheduled for the first meeting in September, which I believe is September 4th. The hearing needs to take place 60 days after filing of the draft EIS, which we're within that time frame. So we'd have the public hearing, and then the applicant would prepare the final EIS.
Okay.
Have they given any alternatives?
So yeah, the alternatives are in the draft environmental impact statement. One of the alternatives was a reduced density plan that complies with Article 6, sanitary density regulations. One of the alternatives was essentially taking the proposed building and kind of rotating it 90 degrees so that the residential wings face north to south instead of having a residential wing right on Middle Country Road. So those were the alternatives that they looked at.
I'll look at them.
Yep.
Thank you for this copy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get ones, like, I can get it digitally, I can get it flash drives, but before I had the applicant print off, a ton of these. They do need to make one revision, which they've made. It's basically essentially a typo, but we can get physical copies if you like with all the appendices that show it.
So September 4th will be the public hearing?
Yes, I will confirm that, but I believe it's September 4th, the first meeting in September, so yeah, September 4th.
Summer's gone. Oof. Summer's gone.
Just like that. Anything else, guys?
I'm good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Number 7, Seacrest Estates, Villas at Roanoke, with Greg again. What kind of changes we're making on our fence?
So this was a proposed modification to the fencing for the proposed recharge basin. The fencing now is just really going to encompass the ponding area. I had both Vinnie Gaudiello review the proposed fencing design, as well as Mike Zaleski, the highway superintendent, as this road would be potentially dedicated to the town. They were both fine with the amended fencing location. Wasn't sure if I even really needed a resolution,
What's the
but,
material?
chain link fence. There are standard,
Couldn't find that.
yeah, there's standard requirements that are detailed in our town of Red Road and drainage standards, so it's a, chain link fence, just modifies the location, again, just to keep the record clear, just a resolution to approve the modified fencing, but Vinnie and Mike are both good with it.
Greg, when I walked it, there's no way just leaving a natural, recharge basin, because there's a,
Now, if a roadway is gonna be dedicated to the town, it absolutely needs to be fenced.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. Because you have wetlands just to the west of that,
Yeah.
just, okay.
Guys good?
Yep.
Very good.
Kenny? Good, okay. Okay, at this point in time, we're gonna talk about public comments on resolutions. Okay, not seeing any takers, let's go into resolutions. Resolution number 1.
Okay, George.
I move resolution 71, Sandy Pond Links Trade Shops, Managers Restaurant Clubhouse, granting the preliminary site approval, so moved.
Second?
Moved in second, Mr. Zilnicki.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro.
Aye.
Mr. Bear.
Yes,
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I'll move resolution number 72, accept the GEIS for site plan and subdivision for TJOC Holdings.
Second?
Moved in second, Mr. Zilnicki.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro.
Aye.
Mr. Bear.
Yes,
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I'll move resolution number 2025-73, TJOC Real Estate Holdings LLC, resolution to schedule a combined public hearing on the major subdivision application. So moved.
Second,
Moved in second, Mr. Zilnicki.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro.
Aye.
Mr. Bear.
yes,
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
resolution 2025-074, Seacrest Estate, resolution approving a amended fencing layout for a recharge basin at the site of the approved major subdivision. So moved.
Second?
Moved in second, Mr. Zilnicki.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan.
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro.
Aye.
Mr. Bear.
yes,
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I move resolution 2025-74, Seacrest Estates,
No, next one.
formerly,
Five.
no, what?
5.
Oh, it
Number
says
5.
4 on mine, okay, 5,
I handed out updated agendas.
okay, 5. Formerly known as Villas at Roanoke, approving an
No,
amended.
no,
Nope.
no, next one.
Weisberger,
Wisbauer.
Ms. Bauer.
Oh, sorry, never mind. Sorry,
Correct?
Seacrest Estates, Wisbauer Residence, 219, granting approval for the amendment to 2019.
I'll second it.
Yeah, that's Resolution 75, moved and seconded. Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye, the motion carries. 6,
Okay, I'll move resolution number 76, classifying as a type 2 action, part of SEQA, and schedule a public hearing for 2 Bluffs Drive.
Second?
moved and seconded. Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I'll move resolution number 2025-077, Polish Wall Parking Lot Improvements, resolution granting administrative site plan approval for the site plan application as amended. So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded as amended. Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye, the motion carries. Good luck.
2025-078, Peconic Farms LLC Minor Subdivision. Resolution to classify a 4-lot subdivision application as a Type 2 action pursuant to SEQA.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote aye, the motion carries.
I'll move resolution number 2025-079, Summerwind Farms LLC Major Subdivision, resolution to retain LKMA as traffic consultant for the traffic engineering assessment. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Mr. Zanicki?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Nenaro?
Aye.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
And I vote yes, the motion carries.
Could I-
Okay,
could I
sir?
just-
Yes, sir.
Did we do number 77?
Yes.
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 Yes, because we amended the Polish?
Yep, we,
Yeah, the amendment?
yep, as
Yes.
amended.
Okay, as amended, okay.
Thank you. Okay, public, we finished that, right?
Yep.
79, Summerlin? Okay. Public comments on all matters? Not seeing any hands. We have no minutes of the meeting as of yet. Greg, no secret actions?
Sir.
Other business, correspondence, staff? Everybody's good?
Good.
All right, our next meeting will be Thursday, August 7th at 6 PM. Can we have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion carries. Have a great weekend, everybody.